Okay, hi everybody, my name is Casey Lee and welcome to the Coderoom. This is a project that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and it's all about coding and programming and software engineering and teaching you guys how to do all that kind of stuff. I've done a couple tutorials on YouTube and in person, and I've wanted to actually do a dedicated, concentrated effort on teaching people how to program and how to code. So this is what the Coderoom is all about. Why would you want to learn coding, and why is this something that might interest you? Well, there's a lot of things you can do if you learn how to code or you have to learn how to program. First and foremost, it can be just a new hobby, something that's fun to do. Coding has a lot of satisfaction. It's a great hobby. You can create things. There's a certain art in coding and programming. So there's a lot of fun you can have just learning how to do it. It's a new hobby. But if you want to take it a little further than that, it can become a new career. You can really use coding and software engineering. It's really a hot new thing that a lot of jobs these days require programming, a lot of coding and all this stuff. So you can even start a new career, and you can even take it further than that. You can even start your own company. You can freelance, you can consult, you can create your own firm, you can create a startup that creates an awesome new product. There's a lot of things you can do with coding. Those are just a couple of examples of why you might be interested in this series. This series specifically, I have a plan in place, and it's really going to start with web development. But I really envision that this could evolve over time. Hopefully with the community feedback from what you guys want to learn, this could change over time. Maybe we get into mobile development, or maybe we get into desktop development, or maybe we get into a lot of other different topics. But really the initial plan is to teach you guys web development. Now, why web development? Well, first of all, it's what I do. It's my main passion. It's my main thing that I do at my job. Web development is a big piece of my life. I kind of grew up learning some earlier languages and desktop development, but nowadays it's all about web development. But the second reason web development is a great place to learn is that web development usually encompasses a lot of different technologies that are mixing and matching and interacting with each other. So a lot of web frameworks, you learn databases, you learn object-oriented programming, you learn functional programming, you learn a lot of UI and UX and all this stuff. And so web development is really a good encompassing thing to learn because you'll touch on so many different things, and then you can decide later on what you want to pursue in more detail, or really become a generalist or whatever. So web development is really a great place to learn all that. Okay, so who is this for? There's a couple groups of people this is for. The first thing is I'm going to target this towards beginners. People who either haven't really coded before or only just touched a little bit of code. I'm going to really target this towards them, and hopefully they'll be able to watch this video series and go on to become pretty proficient programmers. Even though I say beginners, there should be some basics that you guys know. You should basically know how to use a computer and navigate around a computer. So you should be able to know how to open programs, open files, browse through folders, surf the internet. Actually, since we're learning web development, you should be able to know how to open up a browser like Safari or Internet Explorer and browse the internet, things like that. So even though this is for beginners, a basic level understanding of how to use computers would be very helpful. But that being said, I'll try to walk you guys through everything else. And like I said, this is going to evolve over time. So if I teach something and you guys are like, oh, I don't really know how to use the terminal, I don't really know how to use a command prompt, I can probably do a video on that. So, definitely let me know about that. The other group that this is for is really software engineers who've never done web programming, or who have never really gotten a strong understanding of web programming and other topics that we cover. So, you may have people who are starting to learn desktop development or mobile development, and this will really help them get into web development and maybe even open their eyes to certain ways to look at certain things. Just hearing something taught from somebody else, not because they're smarter or not because they understand it, just hearing a different perspective may give you guys a different perspective. So really, anybody who's interested in learning a little bit of coding, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned software engineer, I feel like you might be able to get something from this series. Okay, the format of the Coderoom. Besides this intro episode, which is probably going to be pretty long, my goal is to keep this series to short, concentrated episodes. And when I say short, I don't necessarily mean short in length, although I will try to keep them pretty short in length, but really just one very fixed topic, and really concentrate on one topic. I find it's a lot easier for people to understand if they have short little videos to watch rather than one long video. There's a lot of benefits to it. You can jump to specific topics, or even just feeling that little sense of accomplishment that you've learned something. I kind of picture people watching this, on their lunch break, or between classes or something. They just want a quick little lesson. They can go to this series, watch it, and then that'll be great. Now, I don't plan to number these episodes. I've done videos in the past where I've kind of numbered episodes and created a number scheme so I could slot episodes in between and stuff like that. I find that just gets too complicated. So if you guys are looking for a logical order to watch this series in, I'm going to create a YouTube playlist, and hopefully the playlist will give you guys some guidance about what to watch in what order, because these episodes will definitely build on each other. But again, occasionally, if you guys want me to do an episode that kind of logically belongs in between episodes, by not numbering these, it'll be easy to kind of arrange that in there. So probably the best place to guide you through this is to look at the YouTube playlist that I create. Okay, so what is currently planned for this series? So one of the biggest things that I said was this is going to be about web development. And so here are the topics that I currently have planned. But for the third time now I've said this is going to evolve over time. So if there's something that you guys want to learn that I might know, we can definitely change the series over time and do whatever you guys want to hear about. So here's what's currently planned for the series. So we're going to learn HTML and CSS. HTML is a great beginner language to get into programming. The nice thing about HTML is you basically have everything you need on your computer to get going. Then we're going to learn CSS, which is another language that your browser understands, and another language that we use in web programming. Then we're going to divert a little bit and learn about object-oriented programming, specifically using a language called Ruby. Then we're going to look at databases, specifically SQL or SQL databases. And this is all building to learning a framework that I use that's quite popular called Ruby on Rails. Ruby on Rails is going to kind of bring all that language that you've learned, all these languages and all these lessons that you learn, and bring them all together into a web framework called Ruby on Rails. We're also going to cover things like JavaScript, some specific languages like Sass. And even though I've done a full series on Git, we'll probably touch a little bit on Git because it is something that's important to becoming a programmer. Okay, so that is the Code Room. If you guys want to get in contact with me, probably the best way is to leave comments in YouTube to help me really drive this series. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Spread the word. Again, this is a project that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks.